Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Thanks for coming back and doing this.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I enjoy this, and I love being with the beautiful Sarah, who is about to going to get married, but I wish you luck on that.
Thank you.
Marriage is either heaven or hell, and may it be heaven.
We're on our 60-day countdown. May 1st is the big day, so... the reason why we're here, over the last week, we have had hundreds of questions sent in by our community, and they are all about what everybody wants to know about Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Sure.
You ready to get started?
I'm
What
ready.
do you think the question that we received dozens of times, it was the same question over and over again. Do you want to guess what that is?
Well, you gave me a hint, and it's a legitimate question. Was there really a rich dad? That's a legitimate question. And being a wise ass, you know what I mean? My answer is, what does it matter? But I do know it matters.
Yeah.
Do you know, it does matter. And so my answer is, yes, there was a rich dad. And you want verification of it, is that in 2000, I believe, when it's now the 20th anniversary, but in 2000, Oprah Winfrey called and she asked the same question. And she says, was there really a rich dad? And if there wasn't a rich dad, she wouldn't have on the Oprah Winfrey show. She had this called vet me, you know.
Right.
So she actually called Rich Dad's son, because Rich Dad and my Poor Dad already died. So they called Rich Dad's son, and he verified it. And I went on the Oprah show, and that's when I went from zero to hero. You know, like, nobody knew who I was.
The Oprah effect, they call that.
I'm not, being a real man. I'm not a real Oprah fan. But anyway, I love her. I love her dearly now. But the other thing is this: we have Rich Dad Radio, and you can go to richdadradio.com. There is an interview with Rich Dad's son.
Yes.
And you can listen to that interview, and you still don't believe there was a rich dad. Well, read between the lines, as they say. You know what I mean? But anyway, there is a rich dad. The lessons are more important, especially today.
Right.
Especially today.
Right. You're absolutely right. Now, I do want to remind everybody, if you have a question that you want to submit, you can put it in the comment thread of this live stream, and we will hopefully get it answered for you before we end. But the second most asked question, this is a softball question. Do you think that you'll ever make Rich Dad, Poor Dad into a movie?
I would be honored and flattered. You know, we all have egos. And I definitely have a big ego, you know. But, yeah, I'd be happy to, as long as it's Keanu Reeves who plays me.
Okay. Hey, Hollywood, Keanu, if you're out there watching, I think we have your next gig for you.
Actually, there was a movie made for me in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't it was really good. The content was quite accurate, you know, and they didn't distort it. This is in Beijing. The only problem was the person that played me was a girl. But she was pretty cute.
Yeah. Well,
no,
hey.
but she played me as a little boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't understand Chinese, but she just nailed it.
Yeah.
She nailed the anguish of talking to my poor dad, an academic type, you know, professor and nerd.
Yeah.
And he keeps telling and this little girl kept saying, but I don't want a job. I don't want a job. He said, but you have to have a job. And that little girl caught it. You know, that is the frustration I think a lot of you guys have out there. You know, they're still telling you to go to a job, get a job, and there's no jobs. Wake up. Wake up. You know, 20 years ago, 1997, when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there was plenty of jobs. The economy was booming, but I said, hey, lesson number one is the rich don't work for money. And there's a reason for that, which I'll tell you later. But our schools keep saying, go to school and get a job. And today, young people are coming away with only tons of student debt and no job.
Right.
You know, I mean, Ernst & Young, which is one of the big 8 accounting firms, just announced they're not asking for college degrees. They'd rather train people themselves. Because, you know, a person like you and most of the team around here, you guys are really smart. I'd rather train you guys than have you go to school.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Well, and I think you and I were talking about that before we went live, was the bored kid in the back of the class in school.
Me.
Yeah, I think a lot of our community and a lot of American kids I know anyway can relate to that. Is they're thinking, what am I doing here? And it's not till you enter the real world that you realize there's so much more out there.
Well, I ask you, how much did you learn in school do you use today?
Very little.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's this huge gap between the academics and the capitalists. I'm a capitalist. So when I was about 10 years old or 15 years old, I was sitting in the back of the room, and the only reason I was in school was to just get through school. I knew I was going to be a rich man. I had no doubt I was going to be rich by the time I was 10. And I knew what I was learning in school was not going to help me get rich. So I stuck it out, and I flunked out of high school when I was 15, and I flunked out when I was 17. I still got to a great school in New York, and I graduated with a 2.01. But I used nothing of it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. Education is more important than ever before. A college degree is just a ticket. It's like, before you get to the movie theater, you got to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
So a college degree is just kind of like buying a ticket so you can watch the movie. That's about all it is. I didn't learn much in school that I use today. And I was a pilot, and I learned to fly, and I loved it, but I don't use it today.
Right.
I don't need to be a pilot to be rich. If you can understand that paradox in there. So education's important, but nothing they're going to teach you in school is going to make you rich. That's the problem.
Right. I would even go, there's nothing that you can't pick up at the library that you could, that you can't learn on your own.
But they're opposite. Look, there's a polar opposite between poor dad, straight A student, graduated from university in 2 years. I was on the 6-year plan in university. And Stanford graduate, University of Chicago, Northwestern, he was the head of education, and I was flunking out of school. Then I had my rich dad, and they're completely opposite guys.
Yeah.
One's a capitalist, poor dad was a communist. He didn't know it, but he believed in the government taking care of people. The government should control the economy. The government should tell you how to run your life. That's communism, sports fans. So we have capitalism, we have communism, and we have education. Our educational system is communist. That's the problem with it. And I'm a former Marine, so don't you criticize me. And I went to Vietnam to kill a lot of communists, and I realized they weren't communists, they were good people. So that's why I never fought again. I was never going to have anybody tell me what to do, which was to kill people. So it was a good experience. I loved the Marine Corps. I loved fighting. I still am a fighter, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But I fight for people's sanity, people's education. So I go back to the question I ask all of you. What did school teach you about money? What did school teach you about money? And the answer is zero. They tell you to go to school to get a job. There's no job. They tell you to save money, and interest rates are below zero. They tell you to invest for the long term in the stock market. The stock market's at all-time high, waiting for the big crash to clean the table, and all the losers lose. And they tell you to buy a house because an asset. And we had the subprime crash that went all over the world, and people are still saying their house is an asset. A bunch of losers out there. No financial education.
All right, that's a good lead-in. That's to the next question, which we do hear a lot because people think that you only care about money.
That's right.
But what is that the most important thing to you in life?
Let me give you communists out there an idea about life. Rich or poor, we all use money.
Yeah.
Smart or stupid, we all use money. And money it's hard to live without money.
Right.
So when somebody says money, yeah, well, I like to eat. I have my Ferraris and my Rolls Royces. I like that. So money is important for that.
Yeah.
But the real question is, how do you earn your money? That's the question. So I don't earn it as an employee. I earn it as an entrepreneur. There's a big difference in how I earn it. So all these people who say, well, money's not that important and all that stuff, you lie to me. I hate it when people tell me, oh, I'm not that interested in money. You lying sack of shit, you know what I mean? Give me a break here. Try and live without money. That's what I say to people. The other thing is this. If you ever played golf or football or soccer or tennis, there's this game called golf. Money is the score. It's like when I score my golf game, it says, oh, you're a pretty good golfer. Oh, I'm a pretty good tennis player. That's all it is to me. It's the score and how well I play the game. And you guys out there who are losing, who are poor and struggling, it's because nobody taught you how to score the game.
That's
and
good,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the only book in the world, plus his cash flow game behind me, that teaches you how to score the game of your life. You know, it's called a financial statement. Income, expense, assets, and liabilities. That's how you score your life. So if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I hope you did, it's about how do you keep score of your miserable little life, and yet you're taught by a teacher who says, oh, I'm not interested in money. I'm doing it for the pension, if they told the truth. I'm doing it for job security. I want the steady paycheck. That's what they don't tell you.
Yeah.
They'll actually, most teachers will teach stuff they don't even use.
Or believe.
I have had 3 years of calculus. I haven't used one of it yet. I kept asking my teacher at the academy in New York, I'm saying, hey, when am I going to use calculus? The guy says, I don't know. I said, why do you teach it? He goes, I don't know. I'm told to do it. I get paid to do it.
Yeah.
They teach stuff they know you will never use, and they don't use. That's my problem with it.
So we are here because we're celebrating the 20-year anniversary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which has impacted millions of lives around the world. And one of the questions that submitted that I thought was interesting was, over the last 20 years, with all of your success, is there anything that has surprised you?
How stupid people are. I mean, I hate to say that. We're after 2008. See what happens? I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad 1990s. It'll release 1997 because I could see 2007.
Right.
So the new book coming out, this Rich Dad 20th Anniversary Edition, it gives you some of the reasons why I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, for those of you who may not remember, 1997, we were booming. America was booming. You know, Greenspan, the Federal Reserve Chairman, gets up there and says, irrational exuberance. Everybody was really happy.
Right.
Stock prices are going up, real estate prices, everybody had jobs and all this. But I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad 20 years ago for 2017 now, 20 years ago. We went into a depression officially in 2007. And we don't know it yet. Obama didn't know it, Hillary doesn't know it, Bernie doesn't know it. And I know some of you don't like Trump, but Trump knows it. We're in trouble. As a world, we're in a major economic crisis, not just the U.S. The U.S. caused this crisis, but the world is, because of the crisis of the U.S., because of corruption in the banking system, our education system, and our government. All of us are paying for it. And people still sit there saying, oh, I hope Donald Trump will save me. Well, that's a communist idea. The government should leave me alone. Government has other things to do, like balance the budget, get the economy moving, but not save my butt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's when I get upset. I just can't believe people are still hoping that Donald Trump or the stock market is going to save them.
Yeah.
That is really stupid. That's stupid.
I think that was one of the biggest things that came out of this last election cycle, is people are hoping that the government will save them.
No.
And I think it's this common misconception that a book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad will hopefully open your mind, right? And to help you see, like you say, the different side of the coin.
I was talking to this guy yesterday. He read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know, God bless him. But he hasn't gone beyond Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's still sitting there with the idea of go to school and get a job. I'm going to save money. I got to be kidding. They're printing money. Why would you save money? And I'm going to invest for the long term, my 401k. Are you kidding me? Market's at all-time high. The croupier at the craps table is about to pull in all the chips, man. And you're going to lose. All you with 401k is going to lose. You know, he said, I'm going to buy a house with my wife. I'm going, So that's what kind of, I said, look, you read the book. Did you learn a damn thing? He goes, well, they don't know.
They don't because once you read it, it's then taking the next step to put some of those things into action.
Don't get me wrong. Thank you for reading the book, but take the next step. You know?
Right. So for those of you just joining us, Robert Kiyosaki, we're here answering all of your questions about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And you can pre-order the 20th anniversary edition of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by clicking the richdad20.com link in the comment section of this thread, or by just visiting the website richdad20.com. And there's a special bonus on that site for you if you pre-order today. The book releases April 11th. And so there's a special bonus if you pre-order. Our next question is... go ahead.
If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, get the 20th anniversary edition, because it'll explain to you why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad 20 years ago. But the new edition is because we all now know Rich Dad was right 20 years ago, but what has changed? So the 20th anniversary edition has all the sidebars and things. The book is the same, but the sidebars will tell you why I was saying what I was saying, because I could see this crash coming.
Right.
And I hate to say this, we're going to crash again.
Yeah.
We're going in for the biggest crash in world history. So don't just sit there and tell, I read your book, I read your book. Hey, do something.
Do something, right.
Trump can't save you.
So for the entrepreneurs out there, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you said the most important specialized skills are sales and marketing. Is that still true today?
Well, sales equals income. You know, when somebody says, I don't have any money, it's because you're not selling anything. You know, most people sell their labor, their skills and all that. But if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, lesson number 1, who knows what lesson number 1 is? The rich don't work for money. You know, yeah, I read your book. I said, so you still have a job? Yeah. I said, don't you understand what I said? No. You know, I mean, I have little puppets. Yeah, no. Look, the reason the rich don't work for money, if I could, can I explain something that's pretty horrible? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you why I am the way I am, why I went to military school, Federal Academy, and why I was a U.S. Marine. Because I studied economics in school. Now, not the economics they teach you in school, but real economics. So one of the guys I studied was Karl Marx, the father of, he wrote the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital and all that. I also read Ayn Rand, which was Atlas Shrugged.
Right.
She was a capitalist. Marx was a communist. If you read Marx, you'll see his definition of people, social class struggle. You know, Bernie Sanders says, you know, the poor are going to rise up against the rich and all this class struggle. Well, the class struggle starts in school because most teachers are socialists, communists, or fascists. And they don't, the good people, my poor dad was a good man, he didn't study that stuff. So what Marx said was this, in the real world, there is aristocracy. This is agrarian age. Then there was the bourgeois. Bourgeois was the middle class. So back in old times, you know, they had the king and the queen, the aristocracy, and the bourgeois were the people that had businesses like the blacksmith and the shoe repair guy and the cobbler and that stuff. And then there was the proletariat, and the proletariat were the people that worked the land. So what Marx said was this, the definition of a proletariat and a bourgeois was somebody who sold their labor, worked for money to the aristocracy. So, Rich Dad said to me, don't ever work for money because you become either bourgeois and you're happy with a house and a car and a comfortable life, you know, a very average life, or you're going to be proletariat, which is basically a paid slave. So the African Americans are still pissed off because they came over as slaves. They go to school, they hope to become bourgeois, but they never become aristocracy. So aristocracy, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you read through the lines, because that's what I was writing about in there. You don't work for money because what you want is the real estate. So in the word real estate comes from aristocracy. Real in Spanish is real, it's real land. It's the land of the rich. So the rich in old times always owned real estate, royal estate. And so the average guy goes to school and get a job, and they sell their production. They sell their labor.
Right.
And that's why we have this huge gap today between the aristocracy, who today are capitalists, and the bourgeois, who's a middle class. And third is the proletariat, the poor. And everybody is upset. They're going, oh, the gap between rich and poor is so wide. Well, because you went to school to be either middle class, which is bourgeois, or proletariat, poor. That's why lesson number one in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What I want to own is I want to own the business, and I want to own the real estate, and I want to own the gold, real gold.
Right.
I own the oil wells, I own the land, I own that. But you go to school to get a job and work for an idiot like me. So remember that. You have the aristocracy, which is the capitalists. You have the bourgeois, middle class, and the proletariat, which is the poor.
Right.
Understand that, and you'll understand why lesson number one is the rich don't work for money.
It's good. So, 20 years ago, your book caused a lot of controversy.
And still is, I hope.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that book upset so many people when it first came out?
Well, beliefs are comforting. You know what I mean? I have my beliefs. Like, one of the biggest beliefs is, if I'm a good person, I'll go to heaven. And it's comforting. It keeps people in check. Yeah. Okay, I am not going to cheat that guy. I'm going to be a good person. I want to go to heaven. So they believe that. So beliefs are comforting.
Yeah.
Most people have a belief, if I have a job, I'm secure. Well, there's no such thing as a safe, secure job today. So it's disturbing. But what really disturbs people, in my opinion, is the reality. You have the aristocracy, the capitalists like me, you have the bourgeois, and you have the proletariat. And most people are realizing today they're being taught to be proletariat or bourgeois, not aristocracy. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the only book that teaches people to be aristocracy or capitalists. If you want to be bourgeois or middle class and have your house in the suburb or 2 cars, or you can be proletariat, the guys who clean my yard, nice guys and all this, that's their choice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. When you wrote the book, did you have a specific person in mind that you were writing it for?
Yeah, I hate to say this, it was my poor dad. My poor dad, for Japanese, was pretty tall, 6'4". Like I said, academic genius, graduated from high school, valedictorian, all the stuff, went to University of Hawaii through 2 years, then Stanford, and all the pedigrees. So they're like he's like Barack Obama. You know what I mean? Barack's from Hawaii or Kenya, or we don't know where he's from, but he's from, I'm not Republican or Democrat, so don't get into it. But he's from Hawaii. And he went to a very, very bourgeois school. Obama did. Punahou, private school, rich white kids.
Yeah.
That's where Barack went. Yeah. Meanwhile, my old man is trying to save the poor colored kids like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The dumb shits. My old man was a good man, but he knew nothing about money. And then he ran for lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii. He lost his job at 50 and was never able to recover.
Yeah.
So I came back from Vietnam in 1973. My dad's unemployed, and that's why I wrote my book. I was kind of hoping he would read the book, but he died. But I had to prove I knew what I was talking about.
Right, right. And so I think that holds
true. Trying to save my dad.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of your dads out there, right? That
how many people are not making enough money, paying too much in tax?
Right. They're raised with a certain way.
Aristocracy don't pay tax. Look at Trump. He pays 0 tax. He is aristocracy because he owns real estate. Very big difference. Whereas Obama paid 30% in tax. Both good men, both smart men, but one is an employee. Obama is in the E quadrant. Hillary was an S quadrant. Attorney. Trump, capitalist.
Okay, so we are we have a few more questions left. What are you reading now that inspires you? I think that a lot of people ask that question because they know that you're a student of learning all the time. So what is it now that you're reading?
Well, I think the most important thing is you should study what you're interested in. And I was not interested in school except to learn how to fly. I love flying. But today I read 2 different types of books. This is a very spiritual book. It's called Rules for a Night. Each chapter is about 3 or 4 pages, that's all. It's written by Ethan Hawke, the actor. I would say for all of you who are going to be entrepreneurs, this is like your Bible. Keep it by your bed before you go to bed, and when you wake up, just read one passage. As you can see from all the marks here, I've read it many times. So I read very spiritual books.
Yeah.
Because warriors or Marines or anybody in the military, we run on spirit. You know, and what this book says here is this: once you face death, you're not afraid of dying. Most people haven't faced death, and I was nearly killed 3 times in Vietnam. And after you come back, you go, hey, screw you. You can't kill me. So that's why I'm a good entrepreneur. I'm not afraid of dying. Most people are. The other book is, you can see this book. This was written by David Stockman. You can see all the stuff in it here. Look at all this. Okay?
Yeah.
I studied this book. If you really want to understand what's going on, Stockman was, I did a radio interview with him.
Right.
Everybody's listening to
and
it.
And that will air, I think, this Saturday.
Okay.
So this is an important radio show to listen to.
Because you'll understand why you're being screwed financially. If you don't know that, then keep working hard, you know?
Yeah.
But fabulous book. This is the next best book of all. It's called The Road to Ruin by James Rickards. And I read until I study books. And the reason is you'll never see this stuff in school.
Right.
That's why most people are stupid. You're asked to study subjects you'll never use. You don't learn anything about money. So both these men, this was Reagan's budget advisor. He's also worked on Wall Street. And this guy worked for the Pentagon on currency wars, also LTCM, long-term capital management. Both men say we're heading for a collapse. Now, don't give me some bad news. The good news, collapse is when you get rich. I love collapses. But if you're holding on to job security and pensions, a collapse is a bad idea for you.
Right.
Okay, so that's why Road to Ruin, The Great Deformation, and books like this, Rules for a Night. This is my spiritual book. I kind of like Trump. I like to fight. That's why we're warriors.
Yeah.
If you're not a warrior, don't read this book. You know, read Pussy Willow or something.
So, just as a quick reminder, we are doing a live Q&A with Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. He's answering all your questions.
Now you see why I was flunked out of school, right?
Hey, we laugh, right?
Yeah.
At least we can laugh. So he's answering all your questions about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And just as a reminder, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the book that has touched millions of lives across the world. And you can pre-order your 20th anniversary edition of Rich Dad, Poor Dad right now by visiting richdad20.com or clicking the link in the comment section of this thread. So
right. For the 20th anniversary edition, you'll understand a little bit of what's in here and why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 1997 for today, 2017. The book is the same, but the reason I wrote it is in the 20th anniversary edition.
Yeah, and I think that's important because you've said in a previous interview, then it helps us see the next 20 years.
Yeah, we're going down, you guys. We're going to the biggest financial crisis in world history. So the good news is those who are prepared will get very rich.
Yeah.
And those who are hanging on for job security will probably lose everything.
Right.
And the 401k, let me speak, I don't like that 401k. I think you're being set up if you have a 401k. The stock market is all-time too high.
Yeah.
I don't give financial advice, and you should do what you have to do, but I wouldn't be in the stock market today at these high levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because everything that goes up has to come down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, and I like what this guy here, Rickard's saying. He says, what the ultra-rich have done, which is aristocrats have done, is they own 3 things. Just 3 things. Number 1 is gold, real gold, not that fake paper gold, not ETF stuff. Number 2 is they own land. I own lots of land, real estate, royal estate. And number 3 is high-priced artwork. High-priced artwork or museum-quality artwork is going through the roof because it holds its value. You get a Picasso or something like that, you're set.
Yeah.
But the people who are holding paper like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, I think you're being set up on the crap table of life.
Yeah. So that kind of takes us to our if currency collapses, which we've all talked about, how would our community protect its assets?
Well, I would read The Road to Ruin, because I don't like giving advice on the Great Deformation. This is about the stock collapse, and this is how we're being set up. But what I do, nothing has changed. Like as I said in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Ray Kroc said, somebody asked from the University of Texas, what business is McDonald's in? And Ray Kroc asked him, what business is McDonald's in? The student says, well, you're in hamburgers. He goes, no. McDonald's is in the business of real estate. And today McDonald's owns more real estate than the Catholic Church. And the second thing is gold. Real gold, not ETFs. So for every ounce of gold, let's say this is an ounce of gold, there's 5,000 claims against it, which means that 1 ounce of gold has been sold 5,000 times.
Right.
So if one day somebody says, I want my gold, 5,000 guys, there's no gold. If you understand that, that's why you don't want paper. You don't want cash. You don't want stocks. You don't want mutual funds. You don't want all that stuff. You want real now.
Yeah.
So that's why I have considerable amounts of gold, not in this country, because I don't trust my country. And I own lots of real estate.
Yeah.
But the reason I own real estate is debt and taxes, because I can buy real estate with debt, and the more debt I have, I pay no tax. And if you watch Trump in his elections, he says he doesn't pay tax, and he's a king of debt. So it's opposite of what you teach in school. They tell, like Susie Orman says, cut up your credit cards, and Dave Ramsey, who's a friend of mine, says, live debt free. That's very good for the bourgeois, the middle class. You should live debt free. But the rich are opposite of that. I have debt and I pay no tax. That's why I'm in real estate. If you understand that, you'll understand it's not the real estate, it's debt and taxes that make you rich.
Now, I think I know the answer to this. Is there a preferred type of real estate that you like to invest in?
Well, it's one you understand. There's a lot of real estate. But I love residential because shopping malls are toast.
Yeah.
Look at the shopping mall over here. And
Every corner, it seems like.
Macy's is going out of business and all that. So if I wouldn't be in retail, put it that way. And I like residential because, people fight hard to live there.
Yeah.
Plus the government, if there is a crash, possibly, it's called Section 8 housing. The government will give you money to live in your place.
Right.
So it's not about real estate. It's about government support for the poor people. And it's also that people need to have a roof over their heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's always that demand. Then
I invest in what's real.
Yeah.
What do people need? You get same thing with, you have real estate that produces food. If you produce food, you're doing good for the world.
Yeah.
The world needs it. All these guys are organic farming.
Right.
They're winning right now.
Right.
The corporate farmers are losing, but the organic farmers are winning.
And ultimately, the type of real estate that you love is the one that makes money, right?
Well, 99% of all real estate is bad real estate. Yeah. So that's why Rich Dad has all our financial education, Rich Dad Education, Rich Dad's coaching. If you think you can just go out and do what we do, like this month alone, I think I made $3 million in real estate tax-free. If you think you're smart enough to do that, you're a very arrogant person. It's taken me a long time to learn how to do this.
Right, right.
So that's why with Rich Dad's Education, Rich Dad's Coaching, all our books and study, I don't sell real estate. I don't encourage you to buy it. But if you don't study, then you're wasting this here.
Yeah.
So you got to study. I love study. I like studying things that make me rich.
Yeah.
I like studying things that improve my scorecard, my financial statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
This thing about FICO scores, what a waste of time that is. You have a bad FICO score, it means you're a loser. Anyway.
All right. I have two more questions, but this is a good one. How much influence did Kim have on Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Considerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to. That's why I'm getting married. I'll just say something is that she was the real. I conceived the game, strategically, but she went tactical. She actually made it work. And I'll tell you a quick story that she tells everybody. We were beta testing the game, and so she invited her girlfriends to come to play the game. People that did not know me.
Yeah.
Because they know assets and Lebanon. And this one good-looking guy from down, she said, he looks kind of like a Tom Cruise guy, real muscular. He shows up. And so a couple of her girlfriends were real horn toads. They were after him, So they jumped on the table they were playing. We were playing with bullets and butcher block tables. It was a prototype,
Yeah.
At the end of the game, Kim asked her girlfriends, what was it like? You know, this young Tom Cruise. She goes, he wasn't that good looking. I go, what happened? You know, we've been playing the game for 2 hours. Guy went from stud to pud. You know, I mean, what happened? He says, he doesn't know anything about money. She says, I would never marry a poor man. And so, you know, that's why Kim talks to women about this game, cash flow here.
Yeah.
Before you get married, make sure your future ex-husband or future husband plays the game. Because you don't, if they don't know assets from liabilities, you're going to have problems.
Right.
Because money is a #1 problem in a marriage.
Right.
So Kim says, all you women, listen up. Play cash flow with the man you love, and if he doesn't understand assets from liabilities, you want to reconsider your choice. And the same thing for a woman with kids. You better teach your kids assets from liabilities, because your schools won't. So that's why Kim is very important. She speaks to the women now. Today, more women come to my classes than men.
Yeah.
Because women know men are screwed up.
Well, and women for so long, I mean, I know in my mother's generation, they relied on the man. And look where that has got a lot of them. So I think Kim's message to women is so important and so valuable as a woman to hear. And so you guys really do make a perfect team. Yeah,
she's good news. She's a lot smarter than I am, which I'm not lucky. She's better looking. She's a good person. She's very kind, and she loves the game. As I said, money is just your scorecard. That's all it is. It's nothing more than she likes golf. You know, it's her score. Yeah. Soccer is your score. Yeah. That's what it is. That's all it is.
Okay. Finally, again, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And you can pre-order your copy of the 20th anniversary edition of Rich Dad Poor Dad by visiting richdad20.com.
Or you can go back to school and learn to be a peasant or a proletariat or something like that,
Well, before I let you go, one last question, and I think everybody wants to know, because we're talking about 20th anniversary, what can they expect? You spoke a little bit about it today with the sidebars, and what can they expect out of the 20th anniversary edition?
They can understand a little bit of this, The Road to Ruin, why I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. The book is the same, but why I wrote it is now more important than ever before. And books like this, The Great Deformation by Stockman, who was Reagan's budget director. Ladies and gentlemen, you're being screwed by the very people you vote for. The people you're supposed to trust are screwing you. Why? Because most of them are highly educated people like my poor dad. The head of the Federal Reserve Bank, there's 1,000 PhD economists in the Federal Reserve Bank. And they're all like my poor dad. They're all like President Obama. Highly educated poor people versus Donald Trump. I know some people don't like Donald Trump, but I would rather have Donald Trump's wealth than be a poor guy who's cheating the government by sucking tax dollars off the government. That's what Obama and Hillary were doing. Yeah,
so good. So you can see the past, the present, and the future with the new edition.
With the new book, you'll be clearer on why we're going to collapse, and more importantly, what you might be able to do.
Good. Well, thank you so much for doing this again.
Good luck on your marriage.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. We will see you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.